Never mind. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Cageside Live. My name is Matthew Roth. Normally, I'm joined by Sean Reuter, but he's on vacation, and apparently, when he's on vacation, he does not want to do any work. So I have the one, the only, I guess it's the mouth from Long Island, the best promo girl in the business. Eat your heart out, AJ. The Lady J says she's going to be joining me today. How are you doing tonight?
I am super, super over the moon right now. I'm just so pleased with the whole pay-per-view, so I'm doing really great right now.
Yeah, it seemed to be a little bit better than what we got with Battleground, just like a little bit.
I think it's a lot better than what we got with Battleground because I was getting knocked out with Battleground. Everything was just performing way below what my normal standards are for a pay-per-view. So this, I think, was not the greatest in the world, but it was leaps and bounds beyond what we got at Battleground.
Yeah, we definitely got a couple of high-quality matches tonight. So normally, the way that Sean and I do it, and that Sean and I and Gino did it, we start from the prelims, and then we go all the way down to the main event, and then we just shoot the shit. So let's see how it goes. Pre-show, it was we got RVD versus Cesaro, and Cesaro apparently is in the doghouse. He's no longer the guy that we thought he was going to be the guy.
I'm super disappointed about that, too, because I really enjoy watching Cesaro. I think he's got a great look. I think he's got a great amount of talent. His moveset is really varied. We get a couple of high spots from him every once in a while, and he's just a big guy. I was really hoping after WrestleMania for a long feud with him and Jack Swagger, which didn't really pan out. But yeah, I was really surprised to see him go down to RVD like that. So I don't know. Sorry, Cesaro.
I don't know what they're doing with him. Like he's a Paul Heyman guy, and I don't know if you've ever watched the post Raw show that I do with Sean, but it's kind of weird that all these Paul Heyman guys, and like being a Paul Heyman guy is supposed to make you. And there's only two people that have been really successful with Paul Heyman, and that's Brock Lesnar and CM Punk. Being with Paul Heyman kind of regressed Cesaro a little bit.
I don't think that they really knew what to do with Paul Heyman and Cesaro together. Like, I just don't think they had a really good plan going into that. So, I mean, I'm not the kind of person who's going to jump up and down and say Paul Heyman is the kiss of death, although, I mean, he does not really have a great track record. But I think you have to know how to use Paul, and maybe he's saying to people, this is what I want to do, and they say, this is what we want you to do, and then it doesn't really work out because he isn't feeling 100% behind where the story's going. So,
yeah, I guess. I mean, the one thing that really stuck out with me is that the entire time that Cesaro was with Heyman, it was basically just Heyman talking about how great Brock Lesnar was. It wasn't, and then like, hey, here's this little line at the bottom that says Cesaro is the king of swing.
Yeah, I think Paul Heyman, again, didn't really know what to do with Cesaro, so he just kind of ended up using it as kind of a vehicle to talk more about Brock Lesnar and to always keep Brock Lesnar in our minds, which I think makes sense for the character of Paul Heyman because he's so conniving and weaselly, which I know is Bobby Heenan's word, but whatever. I just think it was a good opportunity for Paul to get on television. I don't think it was really necessarily positive for Cesaro.
So, I mean, at this point, it's kind of Cesaro's in this weird, at least he's on TV, so he's not being buried kind of place in the WWE, where he's around, he's on TV, but he's jobbing. Is this something that, hey, we're just going to have to send him down to NXT and we rework his character a little bit, or is it something that, like, hey, he just needs to do a giant swing on Khali and everybody forgives?
I think that if there's one lesson we've learned from tonight's pay-per-view, it's that if you stick around and take a big, healthy spoonful of humble pie and job for a few months, you get to be the Intercontinental Champion. So if I was Cesaro, I wouldn't be too upset about it. Just hang in there, dude, and do whatever they're asking you to do, because there's hope. There is clearly hope for you.
All right, so
Yes.
let's get to the match. What was your thoughts on the match?
The Cesaro RVD match?
Yes,
It didn't move, you know, and I mean, it has to be a killer match for me to get into something that has no basic story behind it. So I think that it's a real shame that those are the guys that they picked, and it was kind of boring because it didn't take either character anywhere. And we ended up seeing them later on in the night anyway because they were part of the Lumberjack match. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
Just didn't do anything for me.
It's kind of weird that RVD, when he came back, you know, he took that little break and right before this latest run. But when he came back the previous time, for the past, you know, for that other 3-month stretch, he seemed to be pretty much on point, like at the top of, like not at the top of his game, but at least serviceable. Like, so if Cesaro's not able to carry him through a match that can be deemed decent, I think that it's kind of one of those things where we just got to start thinking, hey, RVD needs to, you know, stop taking up a roster spot. Yeah, he gets a pop, but he's definitely not the guy to carry a match with somebody anymore.
I agree, and I think that spot, maybe if it had been filled by someone else in Cesaro, the match would have been a little more interesting. I'm not entirely sure who that would have been, but yeah, I don't think Cesaro was carrying RVD particularly well through that match, and that was really the only way to do it. It's not like RVD's going to carry Cesaro. So.
Oh, of course. I mean, RVD was never a technical wrestler, but he was able to put on some entertaining matches. We didn't get that, and I'm really bummed out that this is what's going on with Cesaro. And it's like, hey, you know what? Damian Sandow's on TV every single week, and he's jobbing, but at least he's on TV. That's not a great area for somebody to be in, especially somebody so talented as Antonio Cesaro.
He has a lot to offer, and I think that it's almost like he's got so much talent that they just can't pick one thing and go with it. You know, he's clearly highly intelligent. He speaks all those languages. He's got several great things that you could pick to focus on. They don't, and that's a shame.
Yeah. I don't know. The pre-show, it wasn't great. We did get to see Ric Flair be intoxicated again. Every single time that man is on screen, I am like 100% sure that he's drunk. Like I'm completely sure that man is drunk every single time that they give him a mic. And it's interesting because he tends to give away the main events and spoil everything that's supposed to happen.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people just sort of say, like, oh, it's Ric Flair, he's drunk and he doesn't know anything. But, yeah, I agree with that he tends to... Spoiler alert, Ric Flair's showing up.
Right. That's kind of where it should go. Then the card started, the pay-per-view, special event, whatever you want to call it. First thing I got to ask you, did you have any problems with with your stream?
I did, actually. It was coming in super pixelated, and that's when I was on Chrome, because I watch on my laptop. And then I switched over to Safari, and I didn't have any... The only problem I had were people were unfollowing me on Twitter because I was 10 seconds ahead of them, and I think I ruined the IC title match for a couple people. So, sorry, guys. Didn't realize that so many of you were having that problem.
We wasted a good surprise on you, to quote Big Daddy. No, it was. I had issues with the stream. I was streaming from my PlayStation 3, and then that wasn't working. Like straight up froze during The Miz and Dolph Ziggler. So I had to switch over to my laptop and then switch back to the PS3. So this is one of those things where I think we're always going to have problems with this WWE network.
Well, you know what? I think that if you want to be so concerned about how much money you're losing on a product, maybe you should start by making the product the best it could possibly be and worry less about advertising it, because if it's not up to the top possible level, the more people who sign up for it, the more problems you're going to have. So I think that maybe they should spend a little time paying attention to that.
Yeah, I mean,
in my opinion.
We did get Hulk Hogan to open the show, and I think he said $9.99 like 6 times.
I mean, I hope he sleeps well at night because I wouldn't if I was basically a walking billboard for somebody else's product. But I guess they pay him well enough and he doesn't care.
That man has never cared about anything except for dollar signs. It was and having Hulk Hogan, I guess yeah, he's a good pitch man, but I don't want him near I don't want him near pro wrestling anymore.
Yeah, he's just a walking gimmick at this point. Nobody takes him seriously, and they just roll him out. It's kind of like what they do with Ric Flair at this point. They just roll him out when they need a good pop, and then they move on to whatever it is that they were trying to get over on you in the first place. So
yeah, the interesting thing is that the crowd it wasn't really hot for Hulk Hogan, or it just seemed like people weren't so stoked to see him anymore. But that definitely changed when the actual card started.
Yeah, I think this crowd was kind of hot and cold, and maybe even in some places where I wasn't expecting them to be, like they were louder in some places and quieter in some other places. But that's the thing about a live crowd; you never really know what they're going to be rooting for. Unpredictable.
That's true. I mean, the interesting thing was we got the Miz and Dolph Ziggler next, and that was a hot crowd for that match, for a Miz match.
I think that they've actually both been doing a lot better in terms of their in-ring performance. I know I've been ragging on The Miz a lot because that first match after he won the title was just so loud. He was so loud calling that whole match. But I thought it was a lot tighter of a match. I thought that they did put on a good show, so I think that it was a well-deserved response from the crowd.
Yeah. So the match, Dolph Ziggler, he's the new IC champ. I like that end sequence that we got. That was a really, really, really cool ending sequence that we got for the to close out that match.
I was very shocked, to be perfectly honest with you. I really didn't think that we were going to move on to a new champ that fast because it's only been one cycle since the last pay-per-view. But I was actually really shocked. I was really surprised at first. I was like, wait, he won? I can't believe he won. So yeah, I thought that whole thing was really well done. They got me. They got me.
I think they got everybody, but you alluded to it earlier. It got to the point, and it's the same thing that happened with Daniel Bryan, and I guess CM Punk before him. It got to a point with Dolph Ziggler that he's so over with crowds because he's an incredible performer that you can't ignore it anymore. And the Miz is always going to be who the Miz is, and I like the current character that he has, which is this cocky, I think I'm Hollywood because I'm in the Marine 5, Marine 5. And I like this gimmick that they have on the Miz right now. But it's definitely, hey Dolph, you've been working your ass off. You've been putting people over. You've been making people look like $1 million. And that was the gold ring, so to speak, that he got to kiss. Like the brass ring. Sorry. He grabbed the brass ring and he definitely made the most of it, at least tonight. Hopefully we make the same statement every single time. Hopefully they do something with the mid-card titles.
I think they're going to have to now, which we'll get to that later, why they'll have to. But I think they will. I think, too, Dolph Ziggler is basically now the poster child of if you work really hard, you can come back from, because he was champ not that long ago. I mean, in terms of professional wrestling, he was champ like, a year and a half ago?
Yes.
So, and then he got bumped down and he hung in there and gave it his all for even the really awful matches that they stuck him in. He worked with everybody and put his time in, and now look where he is. And he had the fan support the whole time, which I think is really the key. We were always behind him. Nobody ever really gave up on Dolph Ziggler. So, and now he's the champ.
Yep. The interesting thing for me, and yeah, we're going to talk about it a little bit more, but towards the end of the show, but we keep bringing it up. The secondary belts, the mid card titles are the ones that really matter. It was a weird. I personally liked the SummerSlam in general, but it was weird that we didn't get a U.S. title match with Sheamus. We definitely didn't get a tag team match, with the Usos. So it was weird that maybe we're going to get some emphasis on Dolph Ziggler as the IC champ because we need to do that.
I think the reason for that too is also now because what we have going on with, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt. You're going to have to focus on some other things during the upcoming pay-per-views. So I think we're definitely going to see new tag team champions soon. Maybe not the next pay-per-view, but definitely soon. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to have to put a little more focus on to the U.S. title and the IC title because you're just not going to get Brock Lesnar on TV every week.
Right. I mean, that's definitely what's going to happen. As far as this match goes, how would you rate it? How would you put The Miz and Dolph Ziggler?
In terms of like the world or in terms of the matches of tonight?
Let's say expectations versus reality. What were you expecting in versus what we actually got?
I would say in terms of the match, it ranked just about where I thought it was going to be. It was a solid match, but it wasn't my favorite match of the night. And I would say for who it was, for the belt that it was, I thought it was a solid match. I was perfectly happy with the whole thing. I didn't feel let down at all.
Okay. That's good. I would say this was like a good C plus B match. It wasn't tearing the house down, but it definitely kicked off the night properly.
Agreed.
Yep. Next match, we got AJ Lee versus Paige, and the only disappointment that I had in this match was they didn't get enough time. They got like 5 minutes to work, and Paige got the pin. She's the new champ again, or she is the champ again. But they only gave them like 5 minutes, and this is the first time when you have a real rivalry that I kind of believe in.
Yeah, I took notes during all the matches, and the first thing that I have is really fast. Really fast is the first note that I took because I feel like I started taking notes and it was over, like right away. So I agree. I think it was way too short. And I think, too, if they had given them like 10 minutes instead of, 3.5 or whatever it ended up actually being, there was a really good build. And I could totally see if you just let it go a little further, the climax would have been that much bigger. Right. I really enjoyed AJ jumping off the top of the turnbuckle. That was awesome. I really like to see the ladies, giving it their all and really going hard. So I thought it was a really good women's match and something that all the lady fans out there can be proud of.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. I hope that they get more time because Paige, it seems like she's finally getting comfortable, and she's like 22 years old. So I'm sure being on the road and versus working in front of the NXT Full Sail crowd who are there for every single show, it is different, and working in giant arenas versus 1,000 people at Full Sail. But it seems like she's getting confident, and I'm excited because she has the skills, and her mic work and like the psychology that they had in this match was really, really good. They told a good story in 5 minutes.
And I think it's a really great jumping off point to take both of these characters, whether they continue with the feud that they have or if they now turn their attention to other people. And we have a new #1 contender for the Divas Championship because it raises the bar for the rest of the women in the division to have to say, okay, now you have to follow that. You can't come back down to, I hate to say a hair pulling contest because we had plenty of hair pulling tonight, but you really have to.
We got somebody's hair extension ripped out.
Twice, because she did it. AJ did it to Eva Marie on, was it Raw or SmackDown? I think it was Raw. I thought it was kind of funny, actually.
I can't imagine that feels good though.
No, because some of those things are they're glued into your hair.
Well, they're sewn into your head. Like that can't feel good.
No, I mean I've never had extensions, so I don't know. I'm not speaking from experience. I'm sure someone out there could tell us how awful it is to have an extension ripped out of your head. But ouch.
Yeah. Yeah. So expectations versus reality. Where do you put this match?
I think that it exceeded my expectation. I didn't really have very high hopes for this match. I don't really know why in retrospect now because I thought it was so good, but I'm still a little unsure of the idea of switching the belts around so fast in such a short period of time. I hope that they keep the belt on Paige for a while because otherwise, it's going to lose its importance if you just kind of toss it around to different people.
Yeah. So the next match we got was, let me think.
Rusev and Swagger.
That was a great match. I love that match. I don't know. I don't know. It was a flag match with none of the rules of a flag match being explained.
Yeah, I actually Googled what a flag match was before, when they first announced it, and they didn't do any of the things that I saw online, so I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing, but they definitely had a good match. That was a nice stiff match, and I know everybody in the show thread, you guys all hate Jack Swagger because he injures people. That dude is fun to watch because he just works a hard style. I like when Haas's fight, and that was a hard
I know a lot of people out there who follow me on Twitter or read my stuff on Cageside know how I feel about Lana. And I thought that her promo at the beginning of the match was actually really good. She had really good control over the audience, or at least control over herself in response to the audience. She was really smooth. She didn't seem like she was rehearsed or anything, that she was just speaking naturally, and that was really great. But I have to give, my MVP of this match to Rusev, because that dude can sell. Oh my God, when he had Jack Swagger just before he passed out, he was going hard about how awful it was to be putting his weight on that ankle. I thought that was intense. I loved it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean the selling that they did was great. I enjoyed what Swagger did. I thought Jack Swagger, when he's able to work against another big guy and they're able to actually put on a decent match. They can do a good match, and he can tell a story when it's just straight violent. And having him pass out and not tap, that was the right move. That was the right call because you don't kill your Russian monster, and America still gets to be the hero in the end of the day, kind of.
It's funny because when Sean and I were doing the preview video, he and I both agreed that we were like, I don't even really care about this match because I have no idea where you take it afterwards because someone has to win and someone has to lose, and then where do you go from here? But in reality, nobody really won and nobody really lost, so there are a lot of different ways that you can move on from here. We're clearly not done with Swagger and Rusev.
No, and Swagger eventually needs to get the win, right?
Right.
That's how it has to go. Swagger needs to get the win, which is going to make it interesting because it's going to have to be a schmaz, I think, because you can't kill Rusev.
No, I agree with that. You can't kill Rusev. He's going to be too important in the future because he's a big dude, and you actually have I think several really big guys on the roster who he could go up against. I'm still waiting for him to get Superman punched again. by Roman Reigns, but that'll have to wait for a while.
It will wait, but the good news is that not only is he just a big guy, he's athletic too. Like he's a big guy that can move like a little guy. And yeah, he missed that flying kick at the end that just didn't connect at all when he kind of did that flip kick in the end. But he definitely he's good enough that they're able to, if they don't kill him like they did with Ryback and like they do with everybody else, if they don't kill him and they let him keep some heat, he can definitely, most definitely, be somebody that you can, book as being the big evil monster in the top of the card.
Right. I agree with that. I like it a lot. And I have to say that for the first time in this entire feud, my attention was squarely on the two guys in the ring. I actually forgot about Zeb Coulter until he climbed into the ring at the end. I just completely forgot all about him. So that says something.
Yeah, and you know what? The Zeb and Lana, they played their roles tonight very well. Lana is, I get it. She sometimes can get on people's nerves and whatever. Her character is kind of grating, but she's a good valet that can speak for somebody who can't speak. And that she's the Paul Heyman basically for Rusev, except she's an attractive female as opposed to a guy that isn't. So I mean, so she plays the valet really well, but she's the valet that is the mouthpiece. And she's not as grating as somebody like Jimmy Hart.
You know who I want Lana's vocally, not because she has a great look. I mean, she really has a great look. I'm definitely not going to deny that, and she should never change anything about her look. But in terms of like the grating voice and the shrieking and stuff that she does, it reminds me of the Sensational Sherry, like that kind of valet who just comes out and like goes nuts and is totally in her guy's corner. And she's come a really, really long way from when her and Rusev debuted on the main roster. So I'm somebody on Twitter actually said that she really liked Lana's WTF face, which is really great because she had this like, what is happening the first time that his ankle gave out. And
Right.
I thought that was fantastic because the role of a manager on the sidelines is just to, you need to stay involved in the action, but you also need to keep directing people's attention to what's happening inside the ring. You shouldn't be pulling the attention from what's going on in the ring. You should be adding to it.
Right.
And that's what she was doing. So I thought it was a really good match.
Yeah, I think that you nailed it, and that's what's going to make her different than Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart took away from matches. Like he's so over the top with the microphone or the bullhorn. He was so over the top that it distracts from what's going on in the ring. Lana, I think you're right about what you said, is that she's starting to really get her character and grasp her character beyond like the Rusev crush. Like it's the little things, like the facial expressions and her getting involved in the beginning when Swagger attacked, retaliated against Rusev, and what she did at the end, like after the match. That's the like character development that I can really get behind, and it shows that maybe this is something that actually works for real, as opposed to just hey, Russia's better than you.
And it's also going to give them a really great opportunity to do more things in the future, because I think somewhere in like the middle of the match, I just kept thinking, when Rusev loses, whether it was tonight or in the future, she's going to turn around and lay into him, and I cannot wait for that to happen, because he's just going to have to lay there and take it from her, and it's going to be awesome when it eventually happens. And then he's only going to become bigger and scarier and angrier because nobody wants Lana screaming in your face.
Right, and that's more character development, and hopefully they don't fuck it up. Hopefully they don't, because like what you just said is the natural progression, and my hope is that they follow what you said, because they clearly watch the show, this show. But hopefully they listen to what you said and actually do it that way, as opposed to she becomes really scared of him and then they just break up and leave.
Well, if you're listening out there, WWE Creative, when it gets time for them to lose a match, I want crazy, like batshit insane Lana.
I like it.
Give it to me.
So
So
next match, what was it? I think it was the lumberjack match, right?
yeah, and surprisingly, I thought I was going to be like super angry that it was as early in the match or early in the card as it was, but this match was hands down my favorite match of the night.
This was a great match.
And it was great on so many levels. It was great for the storyline. It was great for more than just the guys who were actually involved in the match, because we had some good moments from other, guys who were lumberjacks, and it actually elevated the concept of a lumberjack match, because that was the best lumberjack match I think I've ever seen. That was awesome.
I tend to hate lumberjack matches. I think it's a dumb gimmick match.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like the heels beat up the good guy and the baby faces beat up the heel when they fall out of the ring. That's usually how it goes, and it's very, very predictable. The heels stay on one side of the ring and the baby faces are on the other. And that wasn't tonight. Like the performers in the ring, Rollins and Ambrose, they were getting involved with the lumberjacks, like straight up, like diving out of the ring off the turnbuckles into a pile of lumberjacks, and that doesn't really happen. Like it happens with like luchadors, kind of sometimes maybe.
Yeah.
Like this was an absolutely perfect lumberjack match. Like they somehow escaped ringside and battled into the arena. I thought this was a great match. What was your big takeaway? Who stole the show out of the two, and where do you go from here?
For me, the moment of the night tonight was Dean Ambrose when he grabbed Seth Rollins' hair after they got tossed back into the ring, and he said, "I loved you," and then he gave him the curb stomp, which is Seth Rollins' finisher. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I got like all emotional about it because I just thought it was such great storytelling. And I think that's something that both of them have in common. They're really great in the ring. They always put on a good match, but they're telling a really fantastic story. So I think for me, that was the moment of the match and definitely the moment of the night.
I'll be honest. And people that listen to Cageside Live with the shows that I've done with Sean and Gino, you'll know that I haven't really been really high on Dean Ambrose. Roman Reigns was the charisma guy, and Seth Rollins was clearly the best worker out of the bunch. And it seemed like Dean Ambrose, he was the promo guy, but the stuff that he was doing in the ring, it was falling flat to me. And I think that tonight kind of showed, at least to me, I don't think he's going to be heavyweight champ. I don't think that they're going to give him the belt, but he's definitely going to be a guy like Piper. Like never win a championship, but he's always going to be there.
Come over to the dark side, Matt. We have jackets.
No. I'm a Seth Rollins guy.
Oh no. Well, this is over now.
The show is over. No, I was impressed by Dean Ambrose. I think that Dean Ambrose. I still think that there's a ceiling for him. I don't think that he's going to be, the champ. I don't think they're going to give him a belt, and I just don't think it's in his character to be the champ. But he's definitely going to be Piper. He's going to be the guy who gets to cut the promo. He's going to be the guy who gets to cut the promo to open the show or close the show. And he can clearly work. I wonder if his style translates to everybody on the roster, or if it's just that he has really good chemistry with Rollins due to always working with him in Ring of Honor and Dragon Gate and NXT. So I wonder if he has the same chemistry with somebody, let's say, a Kofi Kingston, or like a Big E Langston. If he has that kind of chemistry with those guys, he's definitely going to be one of those people that you'll always see at the top. He'll be Mick Foley.
That's what I really want. I want Dean Ambrose to be Mick Foley. I want him to be known for his own style, for what he does. He doesn't ever need to be champion to make me happy as a Dean Ambrose fan. But, that being said, I still am a Seth Rollins fan, if for no other reason than because technically in the ring, he's a master. He really is. And he never disappoints. No matter who he's having the match with, no matter how the other guy is like holding him back, he will always, always deliver in every match. So I do not hate this feud whatsoever. I know that I'm supposed to hate Seth Rollins, so yes, I call him traitor face just like I'm supposed to as a Dean Ambrose fan, but they are absolutely giving us our money's worth every time they're on our TV screen together. So I'm very happy. I'm actually extremely happy that Seth Rollins won, because it means the feud's not over. And my hope is that this will go on for a very long time, because I really want their big match, like their end of the feud match, to be at TLC. That's what I want, because I want them on ladders. I want tables and I want chairs. Just like everyone in the audience was yelling, we want tables. I think that was during a different match, but still.
I think the interesting thing will be what happens tomorrow. I think that's going to be clear, obviously. But I think that tomorrow is going to be interesting in the sense that you're going to be able to get a Seth Rollins promo about how he beat Dean Ambrose and he's better than him, and whatever he's going to say, and then you're going to get the Ambrose promo where he's going to go nuts, and he's going to be somebody in the show thread mentions like a Brian Pillman kind of character, and I can see that. Like he's going to cut a Brian Pillman type promo, or he can cut like an Austin 316 promo, like an Austin and ECW promo. I think that Dean Ambrose is going to be the promo guy, and I stick by the Mick Foley sense, because I don't think he's going to be a pay-per-view draw like Austin. That's why I don't want to put him in the same level as Austin or The Rock, even though his mic skills are right on their level, because I don't think he's going to be the same draw. But being Mick Foley in that pentagon, Austin, Rock, Triple H, Mick Foley, and Undertaker, that's not a bad place to be.
No, and I think out of all three of the names that you mentioned, Pillman, Foley, and Roddy Piper, I think if you're going to be compared to three people, that sounds like a pretty good trio to be compared to me. So I'm very, very happy with Dean Ambrose right now. I'm extremely happy that the feud with him and Seth Rollins is continuing. And like I said before, I think the really great thing about this match as a whole is that it elevated the concept of a lumberjack match. It continued the story of Seth and Dean, not just by the finish of the match, but by the way they interacted throughout the entire match itself. And at the same time, you still got all the guys that were around. You got Kane, who came down to the match to try to throw a wrench into it and couldn't. You managed to get attention on Goldust because he was the one who jumped in between Kane and Dean Ambrose. And then when they had that big, it went crazy and everybody got into the ring and was fighting each other, who were the last two guys in the ring? The Wyatts. So we didn't forget about them either, even though they weren't allowed at ringside in the Bray-Jericho match. So I think it was a very, very successful and extremely well-planned match. So I was really happy with it.
Oh, it was a great match. And somebody, Drew Nicholas, brings this up in the show thread. He says, I think Dean Ambrose would have thrived in the hardcore title era. And, he would have. And he would have elevated that title beyond, Crash Holly and the 24/7 rule, or Steve Blackman, or whatever the hell Steve Blackman was doing with kendo sticks. Dean Ambrose, if he was around in the hardcore title era, he would be what we're thinking of as the hardcore icon, and he wouldn't have to use, he wouldn't be blading everywhere, he wouldn't be, using kendo sticks, but he's just a it's believable when he has a street fight. You know, like he's working in jeans and it doesn't look stupid.
He had that really great no disqualification match against Cesaro where they beat each other with chairs. And I have to say it was the first match I've seen in a long time where I actually was going like, ooh, stop them. Somebody stop them. Because, I mean, first of all, he broke one of the chairs, and then he dented most of them that he used. I mean, it was intense. And the whole time I just kept thinking about Tommy Dreamer getting hit with that kendo stick in ECW. So I know what everybody's saying about him being, he would be if there was still a hardcore championship belt, he would be the hardcore champion.
He would be hardcore champion, and
he would stay hardcore champion. No one would ever be able to dethrone him because the guy is absolutely nuts. So.
And he's hiding he's hiding in people's, trunks of their car to attack them. Like, he's not hiding in cars, to get away. He's going to attack you from your own car.
Yep. It's pretty great stuff. Makes for very entertaining television, too. So I think that there was a post about him being in the movie. They're going to do a movie with him. Mm-hmm. And my initial response was, oh, no, because he's not going to be on TV while he's shooting the movie. But, maybe it just means he won't be at house shows, and he'll still make the TV dates to continue his feud with Seth. He just won't be, on the weekends and stuff like that, be as available. But I hope that they don't just pull him out for like a month to shoot the movie, because he's just so entertaining. He's, like you said, he's not going to be a huge pay-per-view draw, but he's going to be the thing that even when you have like a really lame episode of Raw, people are still going to go, yeah, but the Dean Ambrose promo was pretty solid. So
Right. I think that this was a 4-star match in my mind. It was definitely the match of the night, and it's definitely, as you said, it progressed the storyline. It's progressed the storyline for everybody. The only thing that and even gave me a little bit of hope that we're still getting Big E and Kofi Kingston because their ring gear matched at ringside. Like, just little things like that. Please, I really want New Nation. Please, WWE, I really want New Nation.
We all do. This is what everybody wants. Everybody wants that picture of Ronda Rousey standing next to Paul Heyman to come true, and we all want a New Nation. So, again, WWE, if you're listening, this is what we want.
Yeah,
bottom line.
Just come on. Don't fuck it up.
But what I really appreciated, too, was that the people who went to go get Seth Rollins when he was running through the crowd were the Usos and Kofi Kingston and Big E, the good guys, and then the ones who went to go get Dean Ambrose, like your Ryback and the Wyatts, your bad guys, your heels. So I still think that all in all, it was a really well, they plotted this whole match, really. I wish they had put that much effort into all the matches.
Yeah, I wish that they put that effort into every single lumberjack match, because I wouldn't roll my eyes when people say the stipulation is lumberjack match.
It was great.
It was great. What was next on the card?
Bray and Y2J.
Didn't like it.
Me neither.
Yeah, look, and again, I bring up the show that I do, the show with Sean and Gino. It's pretty clear that Y2J doesn't have it anymore, and he just has no chemistry with Bray Wyatt, and it sucks because I enjoyed watching Chris Jericho's career. When he is on, he's definitely one of the best workers on the WWE roster. He's entertaining as hell. He's a great promo guy, but when he's off, he's not great.
I mean, I've been having a big problem with Bray Wyatt lately.
What's your problem with Bray Wyatt?
My problem with Bray Wyatt is that they're repeating his storyline. His storyline with Y2J is not different enough for me from his storyline with John Cena. And his promos are getting a little redundant. They're not fresh enough to keep me interested. And I really enjoy Bray Wyatt's promo style. It's just that what he's saying right now isn't really pulling me in. The stakes aren't high enough. And I think in terms of creating a story and creating a character in professional wrestling, your stakes have to be super high. You know, this isn't an Academy Award winning dramatic film. This is professional wrestling. And if two people are going to fight each other over something, the stakes have to be super high. And I just feel like they're not. You know, there's nothing about the storyline between Bray and Y2J that makes me think the two of them are going to, you know, try and attack each other before the bell even rings, like we had in some of the other matches. So that's what I'd like to see. Higher stakes, promos that really draw me in. Because when he was cutting promos on Daniel Bryan, I was sucked in. Like, I couldn't pull myself away from the television. It was so awesome. Now a Bray Wyatt promo comes on, and I'm like, now might be a good time to go to the bathroom. And that sucks. That really sucks.
Yeah, I think the big problem was, and you know, people have said it, and people have written about it. They kind of killed the Wyatt family. You know, by not having him go over on John Cena clean. You know, at least once clean over John Cena. You know, having him lose to Y2J at Battleground, and it just, he needs to win. The Wyatt family needs to beat the Usos. You can't just have them lose all the time. They can put the Usos and the Wyatt family, their 2 out of 3 falls match, great match, but they're still losing. And while people like saying the winning and losing in pro wrestling doesn't matter, it matters. And when you're losing all the time, literally all the time, it's tough for people to go, oh, hey, that's a real monster. That's why Rusev works, because he doesn't lose.
Right.
Bray Wyatt loses all the time.
I think the thing, too, is that I mentioned this in the preview video that Sean and I did, that what I really wanted him to lose, because I think he needs something to incite him, something to incite a type of vicious anger. And I agree with you, wins and losses do matter, but there is nothing right now that's causing Bray Wyatt to act as violently as he and Luke Harper and Eric Rowan did to Daniel Bryan. Every night on Monday Night Raw and every SmackDown episode, we got them backstage just violating Daniel Bryan. I mean, they threw him off that loading dock once, and I mean, that when they attacked Y2J in the locker room, that was like the best thing I've seen Bray Wyatt do in a really long time, because it was vicious. Mm-hmm. And it was just violent, and that's what I want from Bray Wyatt, because he has nothing to lose. And
yeah, he's not the eater of worlds.
Right. So you need to give him something to make him back into that larger-than-life kind of terrifying character that he was before. Because right now he's not that scary. I'm glad that he won, but he's still not that scary.
I don't know what they can do, because, like, yeah, he does, like, the little creepy shit. Like, he does, like, the spider walk, and people love seeing that. But he needs to be vicious. You nailed it. Lose by DQ. Lose by DQ by just beating down people and leaving, like, do what the new Nexus did when they debuted, and just beat people down. Do what the NWO did and just beat people down. Throw fucking Rey Mysterio like a dart into a production truck. You have to do this stuff so I actually believe you to be a bad guy, because he's getting face pops and he's trying to be a villain, and he's not a villain anymore. And he's not even he's not even a face. Like, he's in a weird limbo. And yeah, he's better off than, again, kind of going back what we were talking about earlier, he's in a better place than Cesaro, but that's not a great place to be.
It's not a really great place for somebody who was in a title match at Money in the Bank.
Right.
I mean, out of that, the people in that match, there were 6 guys, right? Or 7 guys. Mm-hmm. 7 guys. And half of them have done pretty well for themselves, and half of them we don't, are just kind of floating aimlessly around, like not even like the mid-car range. I think
they're floating around in hey, just go out there and work. We don't have a storyline for you, but people like seeing you swing people around in a circle. They like seeing you do a crab walk. Like that's what creative has for them right now.
If they were going to carry a storyline over the way that I think they did with what they did with Bray Wyatt and John Cena is very similar, too similar with what they're doing with Bray and Y2J. I think it makes more sense to carry over what they did with Daniel Bryan. And you'd have to change it up for each person that he goes up against, but this idea that I want to save you, he wanted to save Daniel Bryan. They don't understand you. They're never going to let you into their little club. Join us. But he was extremely violent about it. It was like being jumped into a gang. And that's, if they had kept that going on and it just escalated to the violence level so that he could work his way up to John Cena, I think that would have been a much better choice. I think jumping from Daniel Bryan, who was in the position that he needed to get beat down a lot, to John Cena, who Bray Wyatt was never going to beat, just doesn't, I don't know. It didn't make any sense, and now look where he is. So
this match, did you think it was better? I'm not going to say expectations versus reality because it was still not a great match. Was it better than what happened at Battleground, though?
no, because I think at Battleground I was anticipating something. This, I think I was just hoping to not fall asleep or hoping to not get up and walk away from the... I have to be honest, I didn't even watch the whole match. I did get up and walk away from the computer because I just didn't... I was like, well, whoever wins or loses someone on Twitter will tell me if I miss it, if I miss the actual finish. And that's awful. That should never happen. You should never... At a pay-per-view as big as SummerSlam, you should not have a single match where I can get up and go, someone will tell me what the finish was.
Right. And I think that's a... I think I also saw you say something like, sorry, I was looking at Instagram. Like you just weren't care. Like you didn't care. This was a Divas cooldown match. That's what they got. They got the cooldown spot.
And where did they take the storyline from here?
There's no storyline. There is no story. Like that's the other thing. Did I say it? Like, I know that last week somehow that they sat down and they just talked out their problems, which didn't make sense. Yeah, and like what is the storyline? Why is there a rivalry?
I mean, I think it's supposed to have something to do with the idea that Chris Jericho said he would always be there for the WWE Universe and that he wasn't, which makes it sound almost like that like John Cena Rock comment of, you're a part-timer and we don't do that here. And that's not interesting either. So, I mean, I don't, that Bray Wyatt was like, you want to save these people, but you can't save these people. And, I mean, now Chris Jericho's 1-1 and Bray Wyatt's 1-1, and I hope that they don't make us sit through this match a third time for a tiebreaker, but I wouldn't be surprised because I don't know what you do with either one of these guys now.
Oh no! To me, like Jericho comes out tomorrow and he tries cutting a promo. Lights go out and the Wyatts throw him in the back of a garbage truck. I don't know. I don't know. Like, you have to make him evil. And Y2J, Chris Jericho, he still gets a babyface pop that it works. Like, the Wyatt should be beating the hell out of Jericho and RVD and just leave them on the side of the road. And that's a way to write them off TV too, because I don't want to see Chris Jericho come back. I know Sean's in the show thread, or he was earlier. I don't want to see your favorite wrestler come back anymore. I don't want him there anymore because he can't do it anymore.
I think that the WWE is at a very, very hot point right now where it's going to be very, very easy to screw this up because there are a lot of people who seem to be interested in making a return to the WWE, but they have so much talent in NXT. I mean, in the last month, in the last 30 days, they have added enough people that are hot all on their own to the NXT roster that you have to move somebody out. you have to make room. You don't have enough time on NXT unless they turned it into a 2-hour program to give everybody who's down there the kind of attention that they really deserve. So it's time to start moving some people up to the main roster. But that means you have to stop bringing people back.
Right. And that's something that I've talked extensively with Sean about. And, Sami Zayn's clearly ready. He's
been ready for a long time.
He's been ready for a year. Like, Sami Zayn's ready. Adrian Neville's ready. I'd say that Tyler Breeze is ready. Fergal Devitt doesn't need to be in NXT.
No, he doesn't.
Kevin Steen doesn't need to be in NXT. He doesn't need to go to the Performance Center. Kenta, that dude doesn't need to learn from how to wrestle from Bill DeMott. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's fucking that's insulting. Hey Kenta, here's Bill DeMott, Hugh Morris. He's gonna teach you how to wrestle. Really? Go fuck yourself. Like, Hugh Morris is great for somebody like Mo O'Reilly. Not for Kenta. Or Prince Devitt. Or Kevin Steen.
And I think it's a shame that they did what they did with the Nexus when they did it, because I think now would be a really fantastic time to move all the people you just named right up to the main roster and push everybody out who's not doing the WWE any favors.
Right,
because
if you're Zack Ryder, I'd be terrified if I'm Zack Ryder.
Because there's no room for you. They're just, at this point, there's no. If the WWE doesn't have anything for you to do, there are people on your heels who are going to blow you away. And I don't know what to do with that. Sorry to all you Zack Ryder fans out there. I know there's a ton of you, and I know I'm from Long Island, but I can't help you.
Look, Zack Ryder, Kofi Kingston, or if they went ahead with the new nation, Kofi Kingston has something. Big E Langston has something. Right now, neither of them have anything.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about Cesaro has nothing right now, and he's being wasted. Like Cesaro doesn't belong down in NXT, but he's taking up a roster spot right now. Jericho and RVD are taking up roster spots. I don't mind somebody like Dave Bautista coming back, who clearly does move the needle, but Chris Jericho, he's facing Bray Wyatt in the cooldown match. That's not that's a waste, because you can do that with anybody else.
And I think the guys that they have available down in NXT right now are also going to, like you mentioned Cesaro before. I would love to see Cesaro and Kenta in a match together. It would be unreal. And it would potentially elevate Cesaro instead of having him in matches with RVD, which is, just dragging him down. And that's not even to mention the girls who are down at NXT. I want to see Charlotte and Paige for the Divas Championship, real bad.
And Charlotte's apparently getting called up. That's the rumor from the dirt screens, is that she's going to be getting called up. But what happened to Naomi and Cameron? They don't belong in the main roster anymore. If Total Divas was not a thing, they're not on the main roster. Bayley's ready, Sasha is ready, and Charlotte's ready. All three of those girls are ready. And Emma, what happened to Emma? Fandango is floundering. These are people that, just because Summer Rae and is on Total Divas, doesn't mean that she needs to be on TV with Fandango, because it's wasting what's going on with, somebody like Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn should be on the main roster.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So
the only other thing would be, if with NXT, is why not make it a light heavyweight, a cruiserweight show?
Maybe.
That's it though. That's all I got.
I think a change is gonna come eventually. I know a lot of people yell at me that change doesn't happen in the WWE and things won't change until Vince is dead, but I don't wish death upon anybody. So maybe just hope that he'll let his son-in-law and his daughter move things in a little bit of a new direction. Because you know what? Eventually, Vince is going to run out of money. So maybe you have to take a chance and try something new in the hopes that it'll bring in more revenue. Because otherwise, you're going to run out of money. So.
Oh man. So Brian 0802. I am the serious person on the show. This is my show, so it's not bringing other people onto the show. I can't get replaced, Brian. I know that I said Cesaro is taking up a roster spot right now. He is. That's the reality of the situation. He is taking up a roster spot. You know, but I'm sure that when Daniel Bryan comes back, unless he gets a huge pop and he's able to work 100% and still go, that's a spot that he kind of lost due to injury. That's just the reality of the situation. Cesaro right now is taking up a roster spot, so I'm just addressing something from the show thread. The next match, though, was probably the best Divas match ever of all time.
I don't know if it was the best Divas match of all time.
Of all time. Stephanie McMahon defeats Brie Bella after Nikki straight up punched her sister in the face. If that wasn't a connected punch, that looked as good as any that you can ever see.
I mean, I think a lot of us had a feeling that it was coming. There's been a lot of talk about it, about Nikki's heel turn. But I don't really understand what's going on because she spent the whole time afterwards with that, I had to punch my sister in the face look on her face. And then I wanted to punch her in the face. It's like, make a decision, lady. Deal. I hope she's putting ice all over John Cena right now. But, I mean, I thought it was really great. I thought it was super slow, but I think that's fine. A lot of people were saying, well, Stephanie McMahon is married to the cerebral assassin, so, he was telling, maybe she found a really nice common ground between the cerebral assassin, Triple H, and, the Viper, Randy Orton, who likes to stalk his prey, because she really did stalk Brie Bella a lot of times. So the way she would, walk around her in the ring and stuff, I thought it was good. I thought it was a really good match, and it told the story the right way. But, yeah, I don't really understand what's going on with Nikki's character. If you're going to punch your sister, and then own it afterwards. Don't be like, oh, God, that was so awful. I feel so bad. Thanksgiving's going to be super awkward.
Why? No, I thought Stephanie McMahon was, she looked good. But she looked like a boss character from Streets of Rage. The old Sega Genesis video game. But, I thought that she worked well. For somebody who hasn't actually wrestled in a decade, she made somebody who's been on a Divas champion look awful. Stephanie McMahon looked like a great worker, and Brie Bella looked terrible tonight.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Definitely not the best Divas match of all time. But it was good, and it told the right story, and Stephanie McMahon looked like $1 million in her catsuit. I thought it was awesome. I was very happy with it.
Yeah. Now, as far as are you interested in seeing Brie versus Nikki? Is that a feud? Is that something a real thing that we're gonna have to see on television?
I think you just hit the nail on the head by saying, is it something we're going to have to see? I don't think it's going to be something that we're all going to be clamoring to see. It might be something they try to force on us. It seems like the natural progression from here. But again, until you define the Nikki character, I mean, I don't have any problem with Nikki Bella punching her sister, letting Stephanie take the win, and then turn around and saying, I spent weeks getting totally decimated in these ridiculous handicap matches on Raw, and you come in and get a match at SummerSlam against the boss. How is that fair? I have no problem with that. I think it's a great storyline, and I really hope that that's what they end up going with. If it's just the authority got to Nikki, God, please. Boring.
I mean, I'm not interested in it because I don't want to see Nikki versus Brie. I don't think that the night proved that Brie can't, and Nikki, she's improved, but really can't either. This goes back to a previous point, which is it's a bummer that Total Divas is what's dictating a lot of storylines now.
And now that we have, I mean, I know somebody was saying to me, like, oh, they announced the roster for the third season of Total Divas like months ago. I don't pay enough attention to know that. I only recently saw the commercial for the trailer for season 3, and it has Rosa Mendez in it. And I was like, what? Rosa Mendez? Are you kidding me? I mean, for people that are on Total Divas, you have Brie Bella, who was just in SummerSlam, great for her, and Nikki too. But aside from that, Naomi and Cameron were not anywhere near being involved in this pay-per-view. Natalya is too busy following her insane husband around NXT. Nope, sorry, I have no use for Tyson Kidd. And you have Eva Marie, who
Picked up wins over AJ last week. What's up?
two wins over AJ. I don't understand. I just don't understand how the world works. I really don't.
Number one contender.
Number one contender. Please save us all.
She beat the champ twice. That's clearly number one contender. That's how fights work.
If you go down to NXT to wrestle Bayley and get met with "you can't wrestle" chants, and then lose to Bayley, and then come up to the main roster the same week, okay, and wrestle the champ and win, I don't understand what is wrong with the people creative at WWE. I don't. That doesn't make any sense. Do they understand that all of these people? It's not like this is a multiverse, and the way your character exists in NXT is different than the way your character exists on the main roster. You know, Adam Rose still has his lollipop no matter which show he's on, and Eva Marie should either take the win or lose, but she should do it consistently. That's all I have to say. I think her hair looks great, though. I love her red hair.
But here's the thing: Eva Marie is clearly an attractive woman. But she's not a wrestler. She's one of those, and she's one of those sports models, fitness models that Kevin Dunn loves to put on TV. And I was hoping that they were getting beyond that point, because like the Divas division, we've already discussed who they have in NXT, and like Paige can go. Naomi is talented. AJ's talented. You have people that are talented and can actually wrestle. You don't need Eva Marie on Raw. It's only because of Total Divas.
You already have one extremely gorgeous woman who should not be in a wrestling match, and her name is Lana. We don't need another one.
Right. And Lana, I don't know if Lana ever did any training down in Full Sail. That down in the performance center, where like eventually somebody is going to say, "I want to wrestle you," and we have to see her wrestle. I hope that she got some training if that happens, because that's going to be the natural progression. I don't think that you're going to have just a female valet forever. I think you're going to need to eventually get in the ring, but it shouldn't be that way.
I don't think that Eva Marie. Lana offers a specific character. She's working really hard on her promos, and she's coming up to another level. Eva Marie does not seem to be improving in her ring work. She definitely can't cut it on the microphone. Have you ever heard that girl open her mouth? I would want to duct tape her mouth shut if she ever spoke to me in person. And she's got a great look, which is the only one out of the three things that she's got going for her. So I don't really understand why that's... and then aside from those, 6 people, you have Summer Rae, who, got swallowed up by the ridiculous Fandango and Layla storyline. And then you have Rosa Mendez, who the only time we've seen her is when she ended up getting thrown into a pool of what looked like vomit with Vicky Guerrero. So that was the last time we saw her, and before that we hadn't seen her since WrestleMania. So, I mean, I don't really understand. Is it that they're trying to elevate these characters by putting them on Total Divas, and once Total Divas starts airing, we're going to see them more in the ring? I don't want that. I don't want that at all.
Yeah. So somebody in the show thread, the so-called beautiful, brings up a great point and says, I'd actually watch Total Divas if they booted out Cameron, Naomi, Ava Marie, and Rosa Mendez and added Sasha, Bailey, and Charlotte, especially if they get to stay semi in character. I'd love to see that. I think that a reality show could work if it's, hey, here's what it's like being behind the scenes. It doesn't need to be, Eva Marie trying to, may or may not sleep with Fandango so she become his dancer. It doesn't need to be that way. It can be, hey, here's the real behind the scenes of being a woman in wrestling, because that's compelling to me. Like this is a male-dominated business. It's interesting that you could say, hey, here's women that are actually really, really, really tough, can actually wrestle, and they're getting beyond the obvious and clear sexism in pro wrestling.
And I think there are valid storylines that they sort of ended up twisting into these kind of melodramatic things. There was a storyline I think this past season where Naomi decides to get like a birth control implant in her arm, and that's something I've actually thought about, is like what happens like when Brie and Daniel Bryan got married. I thought about when they want to start a family, she's going to have to step away from wrestling because you can't wrestle and be pregnant at the same time. It's way too dangerous. So, these are things that people have to think about, how to maintain a relationship with your family or your spouse while you're in the ring. There's a way to tell that story in a behind-the-scenes fashion without having it be so catty and just melodramatic. I want it to be real, but reality TV is hardly ever real. So,
but like what we're picturing is something that would work well on the WWE network, or maybe like it would work for people that actually care about pro wrestling, not the people that watch E. And I think that yes, I brought up people that are wasting roster spots. Clearly, those people are wasting roster spots, but they're getting outside of our pro wrestling bubble to actually care about pro wrestling or on some level. And I can say this as I know this for a fact because I had friends down in Austin that the guys liked watching pro wrestling. The girlfriends didn't like watching pro wrestling until Total Divas came out, and then they were like, oh, hey, now we have something to share together. So it is a good outlet. It's just that it could be used so much better than what it early is used for.
I think the key here is that if you want to use Total Divas as a vehicle to bring in an audience that you wouldn't necessarily be reaching just from Raw and SmackDown on, cable television, that's fine. But you should not be altering the main product, which is Raw, SmackDown, and your pay-per-views, to accommodate that audience. Bring the audience in and then let them make their decisions for themselves based on what you're already offering to make your diehard fans happy, the people who've been watching wrestling their whole lives. You shouldn't be then altering the women's division to match the storylines that people are seeing on E. I'm sorry that the show has to be shot 6 months in advance and you have to backtell storylines, but you can't run a season of Total Divas up against episodes of Raw where on Total Divas you have the part where Naomi gets her occipital bone busted by Oksana, and also have Summer Rae and Natalya smacking each other on Raw because the timelines don't match up.
Right.
You have to make a decision about these things. You should not be trying to accommodate these people. I welcome them into our thing that we love, but we're not going to change to accommodate them. If they like what they see when they get here, we invite them to stay and join the conversation. But I don't think it's fair to make us suffer as fans for a long time just to accommodate them, to keep them here once they've come in through Total Divas. That's
right.
Just my opinion. I know not everybody's going to agree, but I feel pretty strongly about that.
And clearly I agree, and I'm sure that Gino and Sean they agree as well. They have so many outlets, they have so many vehicles, and they're just not using them properly. It's such a bummer. Oh well. Anyway, Anyway, let's brilliantly and seamlessly segue into the next match of the night, which was the Divas cooldown match that was Roman Reigns versus uh, Randy Orton, and that was awful. This was one of the worst matches I've ever seen.
The only note I have on this match is nice blue vest, Blutista. That's all that I have for this match. That's my only note.
You and I were joking around on Twitter, like this is the amazing character development that he has, is that he's no longer wearing a yellow vest; it's now blue. Like, amazing! Oh my god, it's so cool. Like, really? That's the character development with here.
I'm gonna make a really incendiary statement, but I think my love for Roman Reigns is dead. I think I'm done. I can't. I just. They don't know where to take this character. I'm starting to get the feeling, based on the way that he behaves in interviews, that he doesn't think he needs to do anything to improve. He keeps talking about how I know everybody on the internet says I'm not ready, but I'm ready. Like, no, dude, I'm watching every night. You're not ready. You're definitely not ready. And after that match, you are so not ready. And also, Jeff Hardy called. He wants his pants back. So yeah, I was not into this match at all, and I'm pretty sour on Roman Reigns right now.
I said that if this is what the next 10 years are going to be like, I don't want John Cena to ever retire, because like John Cena, that main event with Brock Lesnar, John Cena was great in that. You know, John Cena, everybody hates the 5 moves of doom and the hustle, loyalty, respect, and he looked like tonight, like he looked like a walking McDonald's advertisement. That dude can at least like do stuff, and he can cut a promo, albeit that they're very, very predictable, and his intensity is just that he yells, and he doesn't understand quiet intensity. But he can actually he can go in the ring when he's not feeling apathetic, and he can clearly cut a promo. Roman Reigns' promos go like this: "Baby girl," and then blah 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 blah. But like, baby girl, pause for like 3 seconds while staring deeply into Renee Young's eyes, as baby girl.
I'm pretty sure it's
what
like
you guys wanted. Like, really? That's not a promo. Like, The Rock had promos. Like, just hang out with Dean Ambrose in the back. They're like, what am I doing wrong? And then Dean Ambrose is going to say everything. But
dude,
at least
you ride in the car with Dean Ambrose from show to show. You can't soak any of that up. I don't understand. I'm going to get way too angry. I don't understand. I really am extremely disappointed in where that character has gone. He is not ready. He is way not ready. And either somebody needs to get in his face and say, dude, you have to do something. Because otherwise these people are not going to care about you anymore. And you're going to end up just like John Cena. You're going to become polarized. And only the 16-year-old Tumblr fangirls are going to want to care about you. And everybody else is going to say, we're sick and tired of Roman Reigns. Because right now, I'm sick and tired of Roman Reigns.
right. And here's the thing, like, Cena is polarizing, but the people that say like Cena sucks, they at least respect him enough that they're watching his matches against everybody. You know, like, yeah, Cena, like, let's go Cena sucks, but like, you don't really believe it. Like, he doesn't suck. It's just that he's tired, which is why every so often he does Luchador Cena or Scientific Wrestler Cena. And he pulls out little shit like, oh, hey, I actually can kind of sort of do a Hurricanrana. Just because he wants to kill those things. Can Roman Reigns do a Hurricanrana, Lady J?
No, he can't. I don't believe that he can.
Can he cut a promo that, like, where you're like, oh, man, I really want to watch this guy? No, he can't. Nothing that this guy... And again, I was the biggest Roman Reigns cheerleader. You can go back into the archives of when Cageside Live was me and Gino last year. And I was the one saying, this is the guy that they're going to be pushing. He has the charisma. He's going to be the natural person that they're going to be pushing. I don't believe it. I don't believe it anymore. I think that he... I don't want him to be in the main event. And I know he's going to be in the main event. I'm hoping that he's going to be one of those guys that's given a monster push and he falls flat and he gets bumped down.
When we did the preview video, I said to Sean that I know that this match was not going to take Roman Reigns anywhere that he needs to go because Randy Orton does what he does, and that's it. I know it puts a lot of people to sleep. I don't think the match tonight did anything for me. I've seen him do some matches with some other people, not John Cena, that I have found interesting, where I've been compelled by the story that's being told in the ring. I like the concept of the character of the Viper, but it wasn't doing Roman Reigns any favors. And right now he needs to be learning from some people. He needs to be asked to step a little bit outside of his comfort zone. I'm extremely tired of watching that like uppercut and then he comes around and does, you know, this like drop kick on the apron and then we get a Superman punch and a spear. Like that's pretty much Roman Reigns. You can call that from the beginning. And I'm really, really tired of it. Every wrestler has a finishing move, but I should not be able, sitting at home, to call your entire match. You know, it's boring. It's really, really boring. And he has a great look. And yes, he, you know, has that sexy voice when he gets on the microphone. But when he gets on the microphone, he doesn't say anything. If I hear him say hair trigger one more time, I'm going to go absolutely berserk and explode the internet because I wanted so much more from him. And you know what? When it was still the Shield, I spent a lot of time saying, like, it's going to be Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. Because Dean can cut a promo, and Roman's a huge dude, and he's going to look so good, and Steph doesn't have anything because he can't cut a promo, and he doesn't have a good look. But he's technically brilliant. And I don't really like his X-Men outfit, but he can cut a promo now. He's doing so much better. And now Roman is the one where I'm like, I don't understand. I just don't get it. This is not good. So,
we were talking about it before about like guys that are already in NXT and people versus people that need to go back down to NXT. Look, clearly it's not going to happen, but Roman Reigns still needs polishing. And going on NXT every single time in Full Sail and still training, working on his promo down there, it wouldn't do him harm. He could still be on the main roster or whatever, but have him go down to NXT and during those tapings, because he still to me right now what he is he's the hot girl who offers nothing except for being attractive. That's who he is, and it's a bummer because he has the look, he has the charisma, and so he clearly has the it factor, but this isn't the age of the big boot leg drop anymore. Like you need something more, and he doesn't have more.
And I don't really know what that something more is right now. You know, he just doesn't.
That more is moves. Like if he's a power guy, throw like a power bomb, some slams, like something, like a suplex. Do a suplex. Do a German suplex. I don't know. Like he all of his moves are like not high spots, but they're fast-paced spots. But if he's the power guy, he should be able to do a power bomb. You know, like set up your finisher how like Seth Rollins does the power bomb into the turnbuckle, and that's when he hits, and that sets up the the curb stomp. Like that's a good progression, and it's a power move by a guy who's small. Roman Reigns is the big muscle guy, and he can't do a power bomb.
Right.
I don't know.
Didn't he do? It was a pay-per-view sometime last year where he did, maybe it wasn't a pay-per-view, maybe it was just on Raw, where he did that suplex and it was like both of the Usos and Seth Rollins that he sent up over his head. It was like insane. Where is that power now? You know, I mean, he's, like you said, his big, the Shield's finisher was a triple power bomb. Where is Roman Reigns? He was the base of that power bomb. Where is his power bomb now? I don't understand. It just doesn't really make any sense. It's like they want to make him into the guy, so they're afraid to change anything. They didn't. He got to keep the entrance through the crowd. He got to keep the Shield music. They don't. He's the only one who's still really wearing the gear. They don't want to change anything because they figure he was super hot when he was in the Shield. Let's not mess with that at all. And I think it's broken, and you need to fix it.
Right. Like at a power slam, at a spine buster, just little shit like that. It would bring the character a long way for the older fans like us versus, as you said, the Tumblr fangirls who, just because he's attractive, that's all they care about.
And, I mean, at this point, I am personally on Tumblr. I have a Tumblr, and every once in a while I will, like, type in WWE and stuff, and the Tumblr fangirls, they love themselves some Dean Ambrose. So he's not even, like, the hottest thing in WWE at this point. So I don't really know who they think Roman Reigns' audience is, but he's losing it to other people. And I think, like, all the guys that we mentioned before coming up from NXT, forget it. Forget it. Once Devitt comes up, he's a real good-looking guy, and then you're going to have a big problem. So, I mean...
Devitt is a handsome man. But, like, sure, like, one of the most handsome people that I've ever seen. Like, the second he's come up on the main roster, especially if they keep him how they did with the introduction photo that Triple H posted, like, of him in a suit, if that's just his character is just wearing suits around, and then he's like a killer, kind of like how I'm hoping that they kind of do with Penta, as like this hitman kind of character, is just wearing suits. If Prince Devitt is just wearing suits everywhere, he is going to drop panties.
And not to mention, he has had one interview so far with Renee where he says, "Oh, I've made some friends because I knew some of these guys from before, but I'm going to make some enemies too." He's so comfortable on the mic, and he is smooth as glass. And I don't know what Roman Reigns is going to do with himself, because he is not going to be the hottest guy. And I mean that, the hottest guy in the WWE anymore once Devitt comes up from NXT. So if you're out there with your pretty long hair, you need to get your shit together. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Anyway, we're going to close the show with John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is the new champ. Spoiler, I know. I'm not sure if anybody listening hasn't yet seen SummerSlam, but Lesnar is the new champ. He didn't leave John Cena in a heap of his own piss, vomit, and urine, blood, and piss. I don't know, whatever it was. And he didn't rip him limb from limb, so I was kind of disappointed.
I was not disappointed by this match at all. I was particularly thrilled by the fact that we got only 30 seconds into this match before we got an F5. And I knew after that there was absolutely no way that John Cena was going to come back. And they counted 16 suplexes. 16. And that is that's more suplexes than John Cena has had world championships. So I'm pretty... I will say to all the Cena fans out there, that man can take a beating, because he got up and walked out of the arena. So good job to John Cena for taking his beating like a man, but he got beat. And it was a little hard to watch at times, because it was like, you almost wanted the ref to just call it off, because it was like, this is sad. This is sad to watch. But John Cena took his beating and lost like a man, and now Brock Lesnar, Beast, is the champ, and I am extremely happy about that, because I'm tired of John Cena.
I was hoping that they were going to end it in 30 seconds. I was like, when he hit that F5 in the beginning, I'm like, no way, like, that's it. Like, he literally just beat John Cena with one F5, and that's all they're going to do. And then, yeah, all those German suplexes, that was ridiculous. Those are not easy bumps to take. And, yeah, props to John Cena. Again, this goes back to what we were saying during the Roman Reigns discussion. John Cena's a guy who, he's the guy who's going to walk out instead of being helped out, by officials, which he probably should have. But he's taking all those bumps, and those are not fun bumps to take. Like, thrown, that's not feeling good. And he took his beating tonight, and Brock Lesnar worked really, really, really stiff with him, like Brock Lesnar always does. That was a great match. This was an awesome match. Again, the other thing I was disappointed is that Brock Lesnar literally did not rip him limb from limb.
And I have to say, because I can't possibly go one of these videos without bringing up my hero, Paul Heyman, but I thought Paul Heyman's contribution to this match was completely ingenious, because the only time you ever heard Paul open his mouth was for him to say, to the ref, ask him if he wants him to stop, we'll stop this, let's stop it. Or when he was talking to Brock and saying, like, this is going to be over soon, just finish him off, and it was almost like Paul really didn't want Brock to actually kill John Cena, which I think only sells how vicious Brock is, that if his own manager thinks that he's capable of literally killing someone in the ring, it just makes him seem even scarier. So I thought, as a whole, I thought it was absolutely brilliantly done and worth watching every minute of it. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, this again, going back to what we were saying about Lana, this is who you should be learning from. Just watch Paul Heyman, his mannerisms. That's what a valet, a manager, whatever you want to call an advocate, because Lana is working that role with Rusev. This is what you should be basing your character on. It's just like those little mannerisms and what you bring to a match. And Paul Heyman was brilliant. Brock Lesnar, with that ground and pound, that was real. Maybe he wasn't hitting him on the chin, but those were not pulled punches. That was not thrown 50%. That was real. That was real ground and pound. And I think that's also what makes Brock Lesnar believable as this monster, is that he's actually hitting you. He's really hurting you.
And I wouldn't be surprised if, before they went out there, John Cena was just like, just bring it on. Because John Cena, again, he can take a beating, and he has the head for the business. He understands when he has to make something look good and how to make something look good, and I think that is what, he understands the psychology, not just of how to work in the ring, but the psychology of the fans. And that sometimes when we're sick of him, it's time for him, to get beat. And when he's not just going to get beat and, roll out of the ring and shake hands in this case. He had to take a serious beating, and that was the only way that the people who wanted to see him lose were going to be happy. So I'm happy.
Yeah, the one thing everybody brings up with John Cena, how he doesn't have a head for the business, is that there was one match that he did with Edge and Chris Jericho, and he made the wrong call, and they were like, no, that wasn't the right decision. And everybody keeps bringing that up. Since that time, yeah, he beat Cesaro, but he made Cesaro look really good in those matches. But he also put over Daniel Bryan clean. He puts over people clean, and he knows how to actually work. He knows the business, and he knows that down the line, there's going to be more money right now with Brock Lesnar for for the trilogy.
I don't think that John Cena is perfect. I know that in the last match, that when he was in the Fatal 4-Way at Battlegrounds, he no-sold that, what was it, a spear? Because he was already looking for Kane to come and make sure that Roman didn't get the 3 count. But you're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. I think in this instance, the right thing was done. He took a beating. He didn't get up when he was supposed to. I believe that he took that beating, and that he, because I don't care what anybody says about pro wrestling, you can't take that many suplexes and not, you can't just get up.
Your brain is rattling in your head.
Yeah.
Just doing front flips into a pool. Your brain is spinning in your head. It's not your brain's not supposed to do that. The human body is not supposed to do front flips, really. And a German suplex is just getting backflipping and then landing on your shoulders over and over and over again. That's in your neck. Not really feeling all that great.
I have to bring up what Drew Nicholas just mentioned in the comments about Brock Lesnar sitting up like The Undertaker. I shrieked. I literally shrieked when I saw that because I was like, that is pure genius. Because, I mean, I really felt like there's no way that Brock can lose because you can't have somebody beat the streak and then lose to John Cena at SummerSlam. I don't buy that at all. So I think that borrowing a little something from The Undertaker was absolutely genius. I would love it if Brock, for every title match that Brock has going forward, he steals a little something from the last guy that he beat. That would, as a writer, that would just make me so happy for his character. That would be totally genius. But him setting up like The Undertaker, that was brutal. I loved it.
Oh yeah. Look, this is clearly a great character. He's believable as a monster because he is a monster, and they're not going to make him do a shooting star press anymore. He's not going to be able. He's not going to do that. But if he does 18 German suplexes on people, that'll be amazing. Like like Brock Lesnar just punching you in the face from full mount. He like that's brutal, and you need to understand the people that face him down the line, for the title. They need to understand that this is what the character is going to do. Like, you're going to get decimated, and you need to understand that you need to take your beating like a man, because you're going to take a beating.
Right.
And yeah, the Undertaker sitting up, that'd be a great because again, that's all that Paul Heyman says over and over again. He beat the Undertaker streak. Do it. Take all that little shit from the Undertaker. If he wants to do old school and walk the ropes, I don't really don't do it. But this little shit mock the Undertaker would be incredible.
And I think, especially what we sort of mentioned before with the Dolph Ziggler-Miz match, we're going to see a lot more focus on the lower belt because of the fact that we're not going to get Brock Lesnar on TV every week. But we are going to get Paul Heyman on TV almost every week, reminding us that not only has Brock conquered The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania, but he also conquered the second longest running, John Cena is only second to Ric Flair in terms of how many championships he's had, and that's a feat in itself. That Brock Lesnar was the one who took the championship belt from someone who's had, was it 15 championships? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the character is great. It's going to elevate everybody else in the company because he's not going to be around week after week, and hopefully this means we're going to get a lot more interesting storylines because we're not going to be so focused on people we've seen week in and week out. I have no idea what you do with John Cena now. I guess they're setting up for Cena Reigns eventually, which I hate that. I hate it with a fiery passion because I hate face versus face. But I'm really excited. I think this is a really, really great decision, and they've set up a lot of things along this card to really make TV going forward pretty great. So.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting. Do they know who is it dirt screened right now who Lesnar is going to be dropping the title to or facing for the with the title?
I mean, people keep talking about him. Lesnar reigns at WrestleMania. I don't really want to see Brock Lesnar hold on to the title for that long. And again, I'm not convinced that Reigns will be ready in time, but that's basically what we're hearing right now. But that's a long time. That's a really long time to have the title on somebody who's not showing up to TV every week. And because, I mean, to have the title for 8 months, right? Isn't that how long it is between now and WrestleMania 31? You can't even have him defend the title on every pay-per-view, which means you're going to have pay-per-views where the main event is not going to involve the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which maybe isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that's why we have Paul Heyman, to remind us who the champion is and why. So I think it's going to signify a little bit of a change of the way things work in the WWE moving forward. But I also think that this means that the feud between Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose is not going to die anytime soon, because there is no way Seth Rollins is cashing in on Brock Lesnar. I don't want to see that, because I don't really want to see Traitor Face dead. So.
You don't think the Traitor Face is going to be able to beat Brock Lesnar?
Not right now. No. I don't think
you
he's ready.
You don't think you can powerbomb him against the turnbuckle and then just curb stomp him?
No.
No, it's not going to happen.
No.
But maybe he's going to cash in on Dolph Ziggler and take the IC title.
Maybe.
That would work.
There's no stipulation, right? We haven't heard a stipulation on the contract that it has to be for the WWE World's Heavyweight Champion.
Right.
Does it?
No, I mean this is the one dumb thing about the titles being unified, is that Lesnar is going to be out, like what his contract allows him to wrestle like 3 times a year, or maybe 4 times a year, and then the rest of them are just like appearances of just like jumping around the ring and like snarling. If he's going to hold on the belt for 8 months and not defend it once, you need the big gold belt.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. Yeah. But I'm excited. I'm excited for Raw tomorrow. It should be a good show.
All right, so Battleground was awful, and the Raw afterwards I thought was incredible. Do you have high hopes for Raw tomorrow, where it's going to be a continuation of this high, or is it because we got some great stuff tonight, creative is going to fuck it up?
I think that we had a lot of change tonight. You know, we had some new, all 3 of the belts that were up for, all 3 of the belts changed hands that were on the card tonight. So I'm not expecting too much change, but I think we're going to see some continuations. We're going to have to get a little more on the Brie Nikki storyline. We're going to have to see what they decide to do with the Rusev Swagger story, because, Rusev, Swagger passed out, so it wasn't even really, that he tapped or anything. So where they're going to take the story, because clearly they're going to face each other at Night of Champions. And where we're going to take the Dean Seth storyline. I don't care where they take the storyline. Just don't let it go. Just keep Dean on Seth's heels, and I will be happy as a clam. So, and like I said, what do you do with John Cena now? I think that's going to be really, because I don't know what the answer is.
What I discussed with Sean on the last episode of Cageside Live was on Monday was. Like Cena, he had that year that he, when he lost to The Rock, and then he was like, "This was the worst year of my career," and it really wasn't. To me, what would be great, and they're obviously, again, they're not going to do it, but it would be great if they did, if they just kind of added a little bit to his character and just said, like, have him go on a losing streak, like a real losing streak, where like he's now, his confidence is shot. He got wrecked by Brock Lesnar, and his confidence is shot. And like, he doesn't need to lose to Heath Slater, but like, have him lose to Randy Orton. Have him lose to. Oh wait, there's no other top heel. Never mind. Let him lose to Randy Orton. That's I think what they need to do to John Cena is he needs to lose some matches, and it would make sense because Brock Lesnar did he got emasculated tonight. He got wrecked tonight. That was as emasculating as it gets in pro wrestling.
I think that the thing that would make the most sense at this moment is to take John Cena off of TV for probably like 2 weeks, if not longer than that, because nobody has seen or heard from The Undertaker since WrestleMania, and I think that John Cena, no matter what you do with his character in the future, he needs to recover from the beating that he took tonight. Whether he really needs to recover from it, I'm sure he does, because it will only have been 24 hours, but that he really needs to, take a step back and evaluate the fact that he had like one really good moment where he managed to get up and he gave Brock Lesnar took an AA, right?
Yep, and was put in the STFU.
Yeah, and that was it. And that was his shot, and he couldn't. Brock Lesnar got back up. So, just like the Undertaker. So,
yep.
I think you need to keep him off TV for a little while, and then maybe send him on a losing streak and kind of mess with his head, and who knows.
Yep. Last thing, kind of news today, and I don't know if you want to talk about it or if you know anything about it. Alberto Del Rio showed up at WrestleFest or whatever it is for AAA down in Mexico. And,
Triple Mania is what they call it, yeah.
Triple Mania, and they called him they called him Alberto Del Rio, and he actually got really explicit about the racism that was in the WWE. And he got in the ring and actually punched a couple of people in the face. Like Conan and all these people charged the ring, and then he cleared the ring by himself. So Alberto Del Rio is going to get sued, right?
Yes.
And AAA is going to get sued. So
yes.
Is this a battle that's worth fighting for the WWE, or is it, hey, you know what? We know that we're kind of wrong too, with firing you. Just don't call yourself Alberto Del Rio, and we'll be able to let you work.
That's a really interesting question. I think on the money side of things, no matter how much we joke about Vince losing money from the network, he still makes a lot more money than they do. And so, of course it's in his favor to sue them, because he's going to win, and two, they're going to want to settle out of court because he can afford tons of lawyers and have the court case drag out forever. They can't, and neither can Del Rio. But in terms of a PR nightmare, it's a big one, because you don't need to be saddled with the label of racist. So, did we ever hear what happened to the guy? Whatever his name was?
Nothing happened to him.
So, not to get super political, but I think we're learning a lesson in this country that you have to punish both sides when you have a situation like this. And you can't protect the people just because they work for you or they're on your side or whatever the case is. The WWE needs to say something. They really need to say something, because right now the only person saying anything is Alberto Del Rio, and it's going to make them look really bad if they just sue him and never say anything about this guy. We need to know
about why this thing happened, and Alberto Del Rio is clearly wrong. Like you can't put your hands on a coworker. You cannot do that. And when you're dealing with a corporate company, you go to HR. That would have been the proper way to deal with it. But it's also a bullshit thing to expect. But I've dealt with that kind of stuff in when I worked in corporate, and it's really easy to lose your cool. And while it's not excusable, it's understandable. And if you don't, you can't just you can't just say like, oh no, he punched this guy in the face without giving any context, because if this does go to court, you have a wrongful termination right there.
And I think that regardless of your personal feelings on the situation, everybody out there has a line that when you push them past that line, they're going to lose their cool. I have it. I'm sure you have it, and everybody out there who's watching has a point. Maybe they've never been pushed to that point yet, but everybody has a point where there's a word you can't call me, or there's a topic that we don't talk about. That if you push somebody, you're going to get a really bad reaction. And if, Alberto Del Rio has, I'm sure he has been through a lot of situations where he's been, what's the word I'm looking for? People have been prejudiced against him because of who he is ethnically, that, maybe it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And you're absolutely right. You cannot put your hands on people. But at the same time, I don't think that if somebody really is behaving in a way that's prejudiced against an entire group of people, especially in the WWE, they have plenty of people who are Hispanic or Latino. If you have somebody working on your creative staff who is blatantly behaving that way, I don't understand how you could possibly not say, like, what Alberto Del Rio did is breach of contract, you can't hit people, you're fired. But at the same time, we do not support the attitudes of this other person. I don't know if you fire him or if you just make a statement saying, the things that he said are not indicative of the feelings of the WWE, but you could end up alienating a humongous group of your fan base. So I think eventually the WWE is going to have to say something about it.
And they're going to have to address it with, like, this is a company that has a Be a Star campaign. Like, this is one of the biggest things that they do is the Be a Star campaign. You can't say, like, oh, no, hey, kids, be a star and don't bully people. And then, like, have somebody say, like, oh, no, I'm not washing dishes because the Mexican's going to do it. You can't do that. You cannot do that. Yes, they will beat Alberto Del Rio and they'll beat AAA in court, but you have a history and a culture of racism, and while you may win in the court of reality, you're going to lose the court of public opinion. And the reason why they keep selling Sin Cara masks, and the reason why Rey Mysterio and Alberto Del Rio were doing all the tours in Mexico City is because the Latino fan base is a huge fan base. Like, Houston, have you been to pro wrestling events?
Yeah, and that, it's so funny because I was actually thinking about the first time that I ever went to Raw was back in March, and I went to see the second show that The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar were on before WrestleMania. That was the entrance with the monks, right, where he wasn't in the casket, and then he was in the casket. I went to see the show, and I was accompanied by my boyfriend, who's Irish, and I'm Italian, and then we were with 5 guys of varying Latino and Hispanic ethnicities. And I was like, we're completely outnumbered. But the group that we were sitting with and the people who were sitting in our area were all, and it's not like they were all cheering for the Latino and Hispanic characters. I just happened to notice that we came to the event as 7 people, the majority of whom were Latino or Hispanic, and the area that we were sitting in happened to also have a lot of people who were Latino or Hispanic. Now, yes, we were in Brooklyn, we were in a city, so maybe there just happened to be more people who lived in the area who were of that ethnicity, but there's clearly a huge fan base for it because there were so many, people who belong to those nationalities who were in the Barclays Center that night, who were having a great time, who were supporting all of the different people on the roster. And if these people are buying tickets to see your shows and buying your products, then, you should be supporting them as well and saying that, we're not going to let people make comments like that about the people that we have on our roster, the people who work on our staff, and our fan base, because it does send a really negative message. So,
greatly said. And with that, it's 1:06 a.m. for all the East Coasters. I know that we have people that watch from England, and I don't know how you do it. But Lady J, you're way better than Sean. You're way better than Sean. If you're up for doing this for the pay-per-views, maybe when he does all the post recaps, if you're up for doing this, I'd love to have you on the show and talk pro wrestling with you.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys. And I'm going to steal Sean's line. Deal with it.
See ya.